Hello everyone, my name is Lakesh and today I'm going to show you how and when to conjugate a verb into past tense if it's an avoir verb. As I've explained earlier, I'm going to teach the past tense to you in 3 different videos, and today we're going to learn the second video, the past tense with avoir. If you haven't watched the past tense with être yet, I highly urge you to just pause this video and go watch that video, because if you don't understand the first video, it will be very difficult to comprehend the second video. So, prior learning. These are the things I expect you to know when I'm teaching you the past tense with avoir. So I expect you to know how to conjugate the present tense of avoir and être. And I expect you to know how to conjugate an être verb in the past tense. If you know these 2 grammar concepts, it will make learning the past tense with avoir really easy. However, if you don't, you're only making it more difficult for yourself. So as I have said, if you haven't learned these 2 grammar concepts, pause this video, go watch the 2 videos on them. You'll find this in the present tense regulars video, and you'll find this in the past tense with être. Okay, so let's get started. So the past tense with avoir. If you have watched the past tense with être video, you will know that you conjugate a verb in the past tense with être if the verb you're trying to conjugate is here. If you want to conjugate rester in the past tense, i.e. if you wanted to say I stayed, you would use the present of être and the past participle. However, what happens if the verb you're conjugating isn't in this list? For example, acheter. Acheter is in a Mrs. Van de Tramp verb. What you do then is you get the present of avoir and you add the past participle. So the present of avoir is here. J'ai, tu as, elle a, nous avons, vous avez, ils ont. I expect you to know that already. And the past participle is the exact same as before. If it's an ER verb, you chop off the ER, you add an E accent. If it's an IR verb, you chop off the IR and you add an I. If it's an RE verb, you chop off the RE and you add an E. If you want to say I have bought, whenever I'm translating I have bought in my mind, I ask myself, is it a Mrs. Van de Tramp verb? No, it isn't. So that means I'm going to use the present of avoir. The pronoun here is I, so I need the present of avoir in the je form, which is j'ai. So j'ai is the first half here. And then for the second half, I'm going to need the past participle. Acheter is a regular verb, and it's an ER verb, so I'm going to chop off the ER in acheter and add an E accent. So here we go. J'ai acheté. So now I'm going to run through a few more examples. I have ate. So the verb for to eat is manger. Ask myself, is manger Mrs. Van de Tramp verb? No, it isn't. So I'm going to use the present tense of avoir, not être. The pronoun here is je, so I'm going to need the present tense of avoir in the je form, so j'ai. That's the first half of the conjugation done. The second half of the conjugation is the past participle. Manger, it's a regular verb, and it's an ER verb, so I'm going to chop off the ER manger, and I'm going to add an E accent to it. J'ai mangé. One thing to also note is that with the past tense with avoir, there's no agreement. So even if we were translating we ate, it's just going to be nous avons mangé. You're not going to have an extra S at the end. Another example. So we have finished. So the verb we're going to use here is finir, which is to finish. Is finir Mrs. Van de Tramp verb? No, it isn't. So we're going to use the present tense of avoir. The pronoun here is nous. So the new form of the present tense of avoir is nous avons. So that's the first half of the conjugation done. The second half of the conjugation is going to be the past participle of the verb I'm trying to conjugate, which is finir. Finir is regular. It's an IR verb. I'm going to chop off that IR and I'm going to add an I. So nous avons fini. And then, is there an agreement? Definitely not, because it's an avoir verb, not an être verb. So it's just going to stay like this. Okay, so now to sum up, we're going to bring together what we know about the past tense with avoir, the past tense of être, to create a model of how to conjugate any verb in the past tense. The first step of conjugating a verb in the past tense is you have to conjugate the present of avoir être. If it's a non-Mrs. Van de Tramp verb, you're going to conjugate the present of avoir. If it is a Mrs. Van de Tramp verb, you're going to conjugate the present tense of être. And so that's the first half of the conjugation. The second half is the past participle of your verb. So if the verb is regular and it's an ER verb, you're going to chop off the ER and you're going to add an E accent. If it's an IR verb, you're going to chop off the IR and add an I. If it's an RE verb, you're going to chop off the RE and add U. And then the third step is, if we use the present of être, we're going to have to add an agreement. So if the personal pronoun is plural, for example, nous and vous and elles and ils, you're going to have to add an S. If it's feminine, you're going to have to add an E as well. However, if it's an avoir verb, i.e. we use the present tense of avoir in step 1 here, we do not add agreements. An example conjugation or translation is, I have bought. We ask ourselves, what verb is that talking about? Acheter. The tense we're talking about, the past tense. So we need to conjugate the past tense of acheter. First step to doing that is, do we conjugate the present tense of avoir être? Acheter is not a Mrs. Van der Tram verb, so we're going to use the present of avoir. In this phrase, we're talking about I, which means we need to conjugate the je form of avoir, which is je. So that's the first half of our conjugation done. The second half of our conjugation, we need the past participle of our verb. Acheter is our verb. It's regular. It's an ER verb. We're going to chop off the ER in acheter and we're going to add an E with an accent. So there you go. Ask ourselves, do we need an agreement? No, we do not. It's an avoir verb. That's it. I hope I explained to you the past tense well to you guys and you now understand how it all links together. If you don't worry. Feel free to rewatch this video as many times as you need to. But make sure that you understand the past tense. Because if you understand the past tense, it will open gateways to French and you'll be able to speak like you have never thought you could before. Good luck and have a nice day.